Right, so in today's video, what I want to do is talk a little bit about weed grass and kind of explain why you might be seeing much more of it in your lawn at this time of year now, and discuss a little bit about what you can do to kind of combat the problem, because it's almost the impossible battle at times. So when we talk about weed grass, we're often referring to this plant here that I've got in my hand, which is Poa Annua, and you've got to remember that calling it a weed grass is just effectively calling it a weed, and a weed is just something that we don't want in our lawns. If you were to leave this in your grass, yeah, the seed heads are going to the soil and you get more of them, but for most people, for most homeowners, it's not that big of a deal. And if you can learn to live with these, then it's probably best to do so, because they're not really that harmful. Yeah, they damage the aesthetic of your lawn ever so slightly, but when these mature, they do turn into a bit of a darker shade of green, and that kind of helps them to blend in with the rest of your grasses. However, you can see, you can identify them because you've got these sort of longer grass blades with some seed heads up at the top. You have some of these smaller ones where the seeds are all sort of bunched together, and when you remove these plants, you can see it has some thicker blades there as well, and they're likely to start to develop some seed heads if you were to sort of leave them knocking about in your lawn. Now, this little piece of grass here, it does have a few other grasses kind of mingled in, because when you remove your weed grass, the likelihood is that you're going to take some other grasses with you, kind of like sacrificial grasses in a sense, which isn't a bad thing. But the question really is, why are we getting so many of these in our lawns at this time of year, particularly this year? And the answer to that question is all down to the conditions. I mean, I can just see all these weed grasses here. I'll try and pull it as I'm talking. At the moment, we've got quite a lot of hot weather, or we've had some hot weather recently. And depending on where you are in the country, is going to obviously depend on how much rain you've had. So where I am now, I'm currently in the northwest, and we've had a lot of hot weather, but we've had quite a lot of showers of rain too. And also, I've been getting out and watering this lawn every so often. It's not had a lot of waters from me this year, because like I said, we have had the odd rainfall. However, that frequent watering from nature, and obviously from myself, has contributed quite a bit to this lawn getting a fair few weed grasses. These grasses are opportunistic plants. They'll literally grow anywhere. They grow in your patio, they grow in grids, they grow in your stones, and then obviously they're going to grow in your lawn as well. And all they need, like any other grass seed or any other seed for that matter, is warmth and moisture. And what will happen is, because we're keeping our soils moist at the moment, these fellas will find any opportunity, any space. If there's a tiny space in your lawn, they're going to take the chance to fill it. And the seeds that you see on this plant here, they're already knocking about in your soil. If you just get out now and scarify or vertical quite deep into your lawn, let's say you disturb the soil just ever so slightly, you're going to kind of wake these fellas up and give them that chance to start to grow. The reason why you might not see loads of them on, let's say, like a council field or on someone's front lawn who's not really maintaining it, is because they're probably not watering it as much. So what's happening is the soil's staying much more dry, which means the power seeds or the weed seeds can't germinate. And because people are often leaving the grasses much longer too, it's leaving much more of the actual soil in shade, which as a result just means that the likelihood of them germinating is much less. If you take care of your lawn quite a lot, like I do, then you're out here cutting all the time, keeping your grass fairly short. You're watering it because you want to stay a nice green colour, you want the density to be nice and lush. Then as much as that's benefiting the grasses that you currently have, it's also benefiting the weed grasses too. Just think, every time you feed the lawn, you feed the grasses you want, you feed the grasses you don't want. Every time you water the lawn, you water the plants that you want, you water the plants that you don't want as well. So by improving our lawns, you're always going to come up against this. And the best way to remove them is quite literally to pull them. What you don't want to be doing really is getting out and scarifying your lawn or verticutting your lawn. Because all you're going to do, if I get on with the verticut now, it's going to cut this plant here, it's going to cut this plant here, and it's going to remove these seed heads. And these seed heads, for the most part, are going to end up in the grass collector of the lawnmower. Now, I say for the most part, because when you cut your lawn, there's always going to be a few that end up dotted about your lawn. And now you might think, well, in that space here now, you can't see any weed seeds because we've removed them. But the problem is, all you've done is prune the plants. If I want to make my grass thicker, if I want to make it denser, the key two things to do is to feed it And to cut it, every time I cut the plant, it sends a signal to it to regrow more leaf, to grow vertically, to grow laterally. And it's the same thing with these fellas. If you just cut the heads off, you're going to encourage them to grow. Now, if you're not wanting to remove them, then this is a great way of removing the seed heads. You can verti-cut and it'll cut those seed heads off. But what you will do is put more of those seeds into the soil, which will obviously result in you having much more of these plants in the long term. So it's kind of like a short-term fix with a long-term problem attached to it. However, if you do want to get rid of these plants for good, I mean, I'm going to have to wait for those fellas to grow seed heads back and start to seed them now. But it is, quite literally, is to pull them by hand. Now, if you've got a small lawn like me, then this is quite an easy task. It's really not that difficult because I've not got a huge space to work with. However, if you've got quite a big lawn, then removing these on a massive scale is going to be an absolute nightmare. My knees hurt on this lawn after pulling them for around about 10, 15, 20 minutes or so. So God help you if you're older than me and if your lawn's like 10 times the size, because it can become a nightmare. Often the solution is just kind of to live with them, which isn't ideal, but sometimes it quite literally is just the nature of the beast. Now you'll know you've got weed grasses in your lawn because you'll see these plants here with these seed heads, and the seed heads are just a really clear indicator that, you know, it's a weed grass plant. Now when it comes to removing them, what you don't want to do is just yank on this part straight away. You can use a fork to sort of rake around the area, or you can just pick around with your hands and sort of find the extra parts of the plant which are attached to this main piece. And you can see they've got, I don't know how well it picks up on camera now, but they've got a much thicker leaf blade compared to the other grasses. If you've got ryegrass, then that's quite a thick leaf blade, depending on what type of ryegrass you have. Be careful you're getting the right parts of the plant, and you are going to sacrifice some of your existing plants, but that's just the nature of the beast. And what you can do is just squish that grass back over there and that soil, and it almost looks now as if nothing was ever removed. However, we have taken out that weed grass plant. Now you can see where we've got much more of those thicker parts of the grass blades. You obviously got these seed heads here, but these other parts of the plant are likely to get seed heads if you are to leave them. Now sometimes they can be quite difficult to spot, but I'm not sure how well you can see it. If I just zoom in a little bit there, you can see we have some seed heads knocking about, and because it's quite subtle, they can almost be missed when you're doing a bit of a power sweep across your lawn. So if you just be really careful now as to not rip the seed heads off, because if you do, I'm going to kind of lose where the plant is. So you want to kind of lift them up. I mean, I just pulled those ones off back to them, which isn't ideal. That's the nature of the beast with this though. But for this one here, I've got hold of the plant. I'm going to obviously separate this area now, and we're looking as to where those thicker blades are, which we can see. We've got a few others here. Okay, just going to tease them slightly, pull them upwards. Some more lying flat like this, because often what they'll do is they'll try and grow between these grass blades. They'll kind of weave their way through. It's almost like a virus in your lawn, in a sense, the way it grows. So we've got some here as well. Just trying to get as much of that weed grass plant as we can. Some sacrificial blades on the go, but again, it's nature of the beast. No one's going to die, except the weed grass plant, hopefully. Okay, let me take that out. And we have those weed grass parts of the plant there. You can see there's that seed head that we lifted up straight away. We got this part here as well. And again, as you start to look, more of them almost seem to crop up. If you just rake through with your hands, you can find them. Give them a pull. And if you do leave part of the wheatgrass plant in the lawn, it's absolutely fine. It's not killing the grass plants around. It's not doing any particular damage. The only thing wheatgrass is doing is making your grass look a little bit more unsightly. So if you do have some still there, then just leave it. Wait for the seed heads to come through and then pull it at that time. Some of them are more obvious, like this fella here. You can see we've got quite a lot of seeds on the top of this plant. Again, just separate those grasses. Have a little bit of a nosy round. Just be gentle as you pull it. You'll hear the roots kind of breaking a little bit. and you're taking some plants out that you want to keep. But again, pack it back in. As long as you've got a dense sward, you won't need to overseed the patches, which is quite good. And you can see there we've got that weed grass plant, and there's spaces where there is going to be potential for other seed heads to grow. Now here we go, on this side you've got quite a good patch to them here. There's quite a few, it looks like, that are sort of packed together. And this is where it can be a little bit tricky, because you don't want to be obviously removing too much of your grass, and you don't want to make it too unsightly. But even as I spread the grass around there, you can see that it exposes more seed heads. So it's part of a plant there. Okay, there's another seed head here, which looks to be part of this parent plant. This looks like quite a lot of grass that we're about to pull up, even this bit here creeping out underneath. So that looks like what that part is there. So if you pull that out there, okay, so you remove that part, just chuck that on the patio for a sec. Now this bit obviously looks like it's still part of the same plant, and even on this side, some seed heads. So you can pull all of those up and then look around those areas still, trying our best to identify as much of that plant as possible. Give it a bit of a pull. Some sacrificial lambs, even some of these parts of the plant which were lying under there have been pulled out. Then pack it back in. It doesn't look too bad, that'll recover nicely on its own. You got this one off to the side, you know, this is, as you pull it, it's taking us this way, so it's telling us that it's probably a different plant. But again, we're finding more grass blades from it, only a few. Now there might be more, but we're just going to take these ones because these are the ones we've got at the moment. It pulls out quite easily because the roots are really shallow on this type of plant. And again, just have a little sweep around, no more. Just pack it all back in tightly. And there you go, boosh, remove that one as well. Now, if you do stop sort of watering your grass, and when it does go dry, you kind of just leave it to sort of do its thing, then the likelihood of the, you know, weed seeds germinating is much lower. However, it is to the detriment of your grass, and you've kind of got to accept that if you are sort of maintaining your lawn and managing your lawn by feeding it often, cutting it often and watering it often, obviously you're going to then encourage much more of these weed grass plants to grow. And it's a case of just, do you live with them? Do you pull them on a regular basis? I come out once a week and do a Poa pick. I get maybe one every probably 3 to 4 weeks on the top lawn there. I get quite a few on this bottom lawn, and the front lawn, because it's fairly new, I've had quite a lot recently. And I think because we disturbed the soil when we did the renovation, and that grass is still quite young and it's not as dense as what these other lawns are, then weed grass plants are more likely to take hold on a lawn like that. But there is no right answer to what it is you're going to do. If you want to remove them, pull them by hand. If you just want to live with them, then you can verticut them to take off a lot of the seed heads. You can cut your lawn more often to remove them, but make sure you're bagging your clippings if you do. And if you're an absolute maverick and you just want to kind of play by your own rules, then just cut the box off your lawnmower like I sometimes do. Vertical till your heart's content, spread those seeds, because at the end of the day, all those plants are going to do is they're going to fill in any bare spaces, and it gives you a thicker lawn, a denser lawn. It might be unsightly at times, but that's just an opinion-based thing. Some people hate stripes on a lawn, I love them. Some people hate weed grasses in a lawn, some people don't mind them, so it's entirely your preference. But hopefully today it's helped you to sort of understand how to identify them, why we actually get them in the first place. And as you can see, we have quite a few on this lawn at the moment, and if I say so myself, I think it looks okay. There's a few scuff marks because I was playing a little bit of golf on here yesterday evening, which sounds a little bit mad, playing golf in the garden. There'll be a video somewhere on my channel showing that off, like a silly video that I made recently. But there are quite a few, and the lawn still looks decent, so do not stress over it. No one's got the perfect lawn, and really the perfect lawn is whatever is kind of perfect to you. So thanks for watching. Give the video a like if you have enjoyed it. If you want to follow along with any more of these kinds of videos, then consider subscribing if you haven't already. The TikTok is Novice Gardener Official. The Instagram is Novice Gardener YT. There'll be a link to that one down in the description below. And yeah, finally, thanks for watching.